You've probably seen the tragic case of Zara all over your feed. And if you're like most people, you've probably also seen a ton of conflicting information, a lot of rumors, a lot of anger. It's really easy to get lost in all the noise. So today, we're going to cut through that. We're going to untangle the facts from the fiction.
So let's get right into it. People are asking some big questions online. Is there some kind of VVIP cover-up happening behind the scenes? Did prosecutors file the wrong charges? Maybe something too lenient? And honestly, what is even going on with the legal process? We're going to tackle all of these one by one so you can see the full picture for yourself.
All right, let's start with what's probably the biggest point of confusion, the charges themselves. Why were the suspects charged with one specific type of bullying and not another, more serious one? Trust me, understanding this is the key to understanding everything else. So, our laws have these two new sections, and they're really important here. You've got Section 507C, which is for bullying that causes fear or emotional distress, but then you have Section 507D, which is way more severe. It's for bullying that directly causes someone to take their own life. And that one word, directly, well, that's where all the confusion and frustration is coming from. So, why did the prosecutors go with 507C, the lesser charge? It all boils down to this legal idea called the causation link. To get a conviction on the more serious charge, you have to prove, beyond any reasonable doubt, that the bullying was the one single direct reason for the suicide. That is an incredibly high legal bar to clear. And right now, the evidence for that super direct link just isn't there yet. So they have to start with the charge they know they can prove in court today. And hey, if this kind of breakdown is helping you make sense of it all, do us a quick favor and hit that like and subscribe button. It's the best way to make sure you always get the clear picture on the big stories happening in Malaysia without all the online drama. Okay, so we've got the charges sorted. Now let's get into the stuff that's really got people talking, all the rumors and conspiracy theories. A few things have happened in this case that, on the surface, they look kind of suspicious. So let's break them down and see what's really going on. First up, this one's huge online. A very well-known, very high-powered lawyer is defending the suspects, and apparently he's doing it for free. The immediate jump for a lot of people was, aha, a powerful VVIP must be bankrolling this from the shadows. But is that really the only explanation? So here's the thing. While it's true a top lawyer is on the case, it isn't automatic proof of some grand conspiracy. It's actually not that unusual for senior lawyers to take on big cases pro bono. That just means for free. Why? Well, it gives them a ton of public visibility. And sometimes they do it because they feel a really important legal principle is at stake and they want to argue it in court. Okay, next point of suspicion, the gag order. The court basically said nobody can share details from the trial publicly. And right away, that fueled a whole lot of speculation that the court was trying to hide the truth. But this isn't a case of some shadowy choice to hide things. The reality is actually much more straightforward. This is just standard procedure. In Malaysia, our Child Act requires the courts to protect the identities of all minors involved in a case, whether they are suspects or victims. So this isn't a cover-up, it's the law doing its job to protect children. And then, just to add another layer of confusion, the judge overseeing the inquest suddenly stepped down from the case. He recused himself. Naturally, everyone wondered, why on earth would he do that in the middle of everything? The judge gave an official reason. He said that he lives in the same neighborhood as the school involved in the case. So to avoid even the slightest appearance of a conflict of interest, he removed himself. What's important to note here is that the legal system has ways to handle this. His last decision was voided, and a new judge will take over to ensure the process remains fair and impartial. Okay, this next part is super important because it's a huge source of confusion for just about everyone following this case. There are actually two separate legal things happening at the same time, a criminal trial and a coroner's inquest. They sound kind of similar, but they have completely different jobs. Think of it this way. The criminal trial is like a detective. Its only question is, who did it? The whole point is to figure out if someone is guilty of a crime. The coroner's inquest, on the other hand, is like a doctor. Its question is, how did it happen? Its only job is to figure out the medical cause and manner of death. It doesn't find anyone guilty. It just states the facts of how the person died. All right, now we get to the real heart of it, the science, the forensic evidence. The pathologist's testimony has been reported everywhere, but a few absolutely crucial details got lost in the headlines, and that led to a massive misunderstanding of what she actually said. So first off, the forensic pathologist, Dr. Jessie Hugh, made one thing crystal clear. She said this was almost certainly not an accidental fall. Why? Because the railing was simply too high for someone to just stumble and fall over it. So right away, that rules out a simple tragic accident. But then she said something else. And this is the part that got twisted and created all the confusion. She testified that the victim was unlikely to have been pushed over that railing while she was in a standing position. Because again, the railing was so high, a simple push just wouldn't do it. Did you catch that? While in a standing position. Those 5 little words change everything. A lot of the early reports just said she wasn't pushed, and that tiny omission completely changed what people thought happened. The pathologist's statement does not rule out foul play at all. It just rules out one very specific scenario. It leaves a lot of other possibilities on the table, like if she was lifted or was in a different position entirely. The pathologist also looks at the bruises on her body, and she concluded that there were no signs of an earlier assault. How did she know? Well, all the bruises were the same color. If she'd been beaten up hours or days before, those older bruises would have a different color, a different shade. The fact they were all the same told the pathologist that all the injuries happened at the exact same time, from the impact of the fall. So let's zoom out for a second. Beyond just this one heartbreaking case, what does it all tell us about how Malaysia deals with bullying as a whole? It actually shines a light on a really important national conversation that's happening right now. Basically, there are 2 ways to go about it. On one side, you have what we do now. We add bullying clauses to the penal code. This is all about punishment. It deals with the bully after the harm has already been done. But on the other side, you have what a lot of people are calling for, a dedicated anti-bullying act. That kind of law would focus on protection and prevention, creating support systems, making reporting easier, and trying to stop the bullying before it escalates. We've covered a lot of really complicated stuff here to try and bring some clarity to a very painful story. And if you believe that getting the clear facts is more important than getting confusing headlines, then join our community. Tap that like button, hit subscribe, and let's keep making sense of these big issues together. So let's do a super quick recap. The charges are based on the evidence they have right now for causing fear. The so-called conspiracies all have logical, procedural reasons behind them. And the forensic evidence, well, it's a lot more detailed and nuanced than those first headlines made it seem. And all of this leaves us with one last big question to think about. In these cases that grip the whole nation, that make us so angry and so sad, how do we balance our demand for fast answers with the slow, careful, and often frustrating search for real justice? It's something we all need to consider. Thanks for watching.